Let's have a big hand for Pete. Or Pete, no. Yeah, let's have a big hand for Pete shutting the lights off.
Good job, Pete.
And then a big hand, yeah, for Tom. Okay, you're on.
Okay. So I'm going to turn a Christmas tree. I think you've probably seen this before, some of you. Getting some feedback there?
Yeah, hang on, let me get over there. Okay, you got it.
Check, check.
Yep, it's on.
So the neat thing here is kind of turning a little curl that mimics the leaves on the tree, and I'm going to use a skew. Where am I at here?
Overhead. Overhead.
Is this what I'm seeing right here?
There you go. How's that? Yep.
There we go. So this is a 1/2-inch skew gouge. Put that a little bit further in. There we go. It's got a rolled over bottom, flat on the top. It's got about a 70 degree skew angle.
Dark underneath it. Can you see
There
it
we go.
better?
Is that better?
I think so. There's less reflection.
And the bevel's about 30 degrees, so it's a little more acute than some. I also have this specialty skew. It's an old Shopsmith Tools high carbon steel, and I thought I'd just play around with making that. There's a little, I can't really see it there. What else we got? The other side won't be as shiny. See anything, get anything dark?
We need something non-reflective.
Non-reflective, yeah. Let me.
Put your head up there. Hold it over your hat. Whoops. Yeah, I can kind of see it.
I'll pass it around, but there's a little notch out of the toe, and the idea there is that it kind of allows that curl to get up in there and then curl around, and you push it along, and I'll show you that in a second. So again, a 70 degree skew angle at the top. This one's got a little steeper, maybe like 40 degree bevel on it, right there. And I sharpen these with a diamond hone. Pretty, once you've got your angle, it's pretty easy to just go along the sides. And you need to touch them up, just do that. And you don't want to use these carbon tools on your CBN wheels. From personal experience, that ruins your wheel. Same with carbide. All right, and I also have a like an 1/8-inch Bedan or parting tool. So we'll try that too. This has about I don't know, is that about 60 degrees on there? Maybe 50. Hollow ground on the top. So I'm going to start out with a spindle roughing gouge, and we'll just true this up. So I have it between centers. When you're laying this out in your mind, I usually do it between centers, just allows me more flexibility, but I end up on the base with that little stub there, right? You could do this, putting it in a chuck and then, 4-jaw chuck and then holding onto it and then cutting off the base at the end. But as you'll see with a knife, you can kind of trim all that up, and I just find it easier to work between centers like this.
Here we go.
Spindle roughing gouge, got a 45-degree bevel on it, ground straight across. It's about 1500 RPM. Just gotta slowly bring that bevel in and ride it across. Okay, so skew work. I'm going to, I'll just go through some cuts here. So planing cut, which is where I'm going to turn the curls. So I'm moving along like this. Rotary peeling is going to go like this if you want to decrease the diameter. And then a slicing cut, truing up an end. So I'll show all those right here. So here's a planing cut using kind of right by the toe, the short end of the skew. If I was to get that front, the long end in, that's where you get that grab, of course. My rest is about, it's a little low, but I'm going to go up, so it's a little above center. So you're cutting above center. Oh, I'm a little high, I think. So that's the planing cut. If I wanted to reduce my diameter, here's a kind of a rotary peeling. Taking a little too much there. I think something's loose here. Yep. Let's see. Is there a little tool for the, here we go. So the cone was loose.
Yeah, that'll do it.
There we go. So this wood is, I think it's maple. Good woods for these trees, if you have it, like green pine, if you have a tree limb. I think the green, if it's wet or green, you can turn those curls easily, and then as it dries, it'll actually, stay on there better than turning something that's dry already. Let's try that again. There we go. So rotary peeling, now I'm going to do a slicing cut. If you can zoom in and see how rough that is. You see there's some pick marks. And I'm just showing you some basic cuts here, not really part of the tree, but so slicing down, I'm looking right down the bevel. I don't want to be too far over or too far to the left, go straight down. Should be pretty clean there, yeah. Okay, so I'll show you the curling process. I'll use all three tools. So I'm going to dig in the short end of the skew and start about 1/4, 3/8 of an inch right of where I want to go. I'm moving left. So I get in and I'm picking up the curl and moving it along. I can do it pretty slow. I can do it faster. So that's the curl process. Now I'll go to the to the badan. You can do the same thing. Using the left side, I'm going to go right to left. And then here's the specialty skew. See if I can push, getting a little larger curl. So you can kind of see the difference. Can we zoom in a little bit? Okay, there you go. So that's the idea. So I'm going to clean all those off. This is, you can see they're not all that stable. So if you're doing like green, like I said, with the green wood, like pine, then it'll stay on there a little better. So clean that up and start with the tree.
Tom, is that wood dry?
This is dry, yeah. Okay, so this end is going to be the base and the trunk of the tree, and then the cone shape up to the top, and I'll put a little ball or finial on the top. So I'll clean up the bottom first with the slicing cut. Switch to the left hand here. Okay, so that's going to be the very bottom of the base, and you can see I'm going to have that little tenon there. I'll have to clean that up later. Use a knife and then just sand it off. If you get a nice clean cut with your skew, then you don't have to do much else work over here. So here we go with the base. So I'm just going to push in rotary peeling. Whoop. Too much. Hopefully I didn't lose it there. I think I lost it. So I'm going to just trim this off here real quick. Problem is I made my tenon too small, and I have a stub center, and they're just going around it, this tenon and spinning. This is a little hook knife I made a long time ago. I really use it a lot. Kind of a Southwest Coast design. Came from a kit. No. Sorry about that. Maybe I switched to a, I'm going to switch. So this is more maple. This, I think, this looks like silver maple. We'll see how it does. It's got a little bit of breakout there, so I'll get rid of that. So I'm just making space here for the trunk. Maybe the badan would work a little better. So I'll clean up the trunk and then come back with the skew and clean the base up, put a little angle on it. So the base, trunk, bottom of the tree are all done. Looks pretty good. Now we'll finish the cone off and start putting some curls on it. So I really can't remember where I saw this first. I know there's a German European tradition of turning these kind of on Christmas ornaments. Got a little bonus color there, huh? So I'm going to put a little ball up there and work down towards it. Still a little fat. So that'll be the very top right there, and we'll just trim this cone off later. It's a little challenging with the tool rest height because you're going from a larger diameter to a smaller. But I want to have a nice clean surface here so I don't have any interruptions in my coils. Just checking to see if I got a nice curve. So that looks pretty good. And we'll see how well it curls. So if you're picturing the grain going this way, if I was to run, I want to do my curls from right to left because I have the grain and the wood holding onto it, right? So I can peel them up. If I curl the other way, that would just be slicing off the fibers and it wouldn't work very well. Yeah, so the hook, the little hook in the school allows that curl to get up in there and then and keep pulling it along. But you can do it with, you don't need this. It does help out though. So it gets a little tight up top. And that's it.
That's cool.
Yeah, these hung on there pretty good. So then to finish it up, like I said, if you had it in a cup chuck, then which then you got to allow for that room, you can then just cut it off, right? Part it off, and then it's pretty easy to trim the top with a knife. All right, well, I'll stop here, and it would be easier to sand this on a disc sander than to, but there we go.